Hey Internet, Sergeant, welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now don't worry, we're still in the bunker. It's actually right down the hall, but today we're doing story time. See, one of the things we get a lot here when we talk about credit card hunting and bank account promotion hunting is it really worth it? What can you actually do with all that money? Does it really matter? Well, I'm here to give you a real world example in my kitchen using all this stuff around you on how it actually does make a material difference. So if you want to hear a story time and how this stuff can actually benefit you in real life, well, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, if you don't know, again, I'm predominantly cashback, and of course here we talk about credit cards, but we have a second channel called Run on the Bank where we focus on bank account promotions, and we have profitablecontent.com, which of course again has bank promotions, has credit card offers, and the news like you're seeing on Sunday. And every so often these comments come up or questions come up. It's like, hey, was that really worth it if you do a $20 bonus or a $50 bonus? Or why did you get all those credit cards? Or what did you do with all these credit cards? Or why are you getting things like the Venmo card and the Rocket Mortgage card and all of that? Well, you know, I understand on the surface it seems like 20 bucks here, $100 there, does it really matter? Well, again, the point of this is to give you a real world example with actual receipts and numbers that I have. I will dig up all of them that I can. I did pull a few, for example, to walk through how it matters and how that money can make a material impact on your life. So we're going to use the story of this house, which is about a year old now. I'm going to walk you through some, and a lot of it will be story time, but we'll show you why and how I went through it, what I used the money for. And the first thing I'll say, or the second thing before we get to the story is, you know, here I've said before and I'll say it again, you know, there's actually quite a bit of easy money in the world. What there's not a lot of is materially different money. Materially different money would be your job, my job. I have a real job. That's your W-2 income is enough to pay your bills, pay your mortgage, that whole deal. So our bank promotion or credit card is not enough to pay for any of those things. But the immaterial starts to become material when you stack it on top of each other. Again, by the end of the year, my goal is always 5,000 from credit cards, 10,000 from bank promotions, and 10,000 from referrals. Now, I'll cover all three. I understand not everyone can do referrals to that level, but again, I've got something that will probably help you if you haven't heard, and we'll talk about it. So anyways, story time then. So this house, it's where I live, is the base of operations, and purchased in February of 2024, so a little over a year ago. And it's a new build, and so there's different ways you can do new builds. You can, you know, be fully loaded and customize everything you want, or they have like what this is like a spec build where they just kind of build it and they find the buyer later, and that's what I did. Now it turned out to be totally by happenstance. I was actually looking at the neighborhood across the street where another house I have is, and I thought I saw like an opportunity, I guess you could say. Didn't work out, but over here they had like a new house. Actually, 2 doors down is where I started. And now, long story short, we missed out on that one. By I say we, I mean me and my buyer's agent, who have done a few things with before in the past. We just got beat out by like a 50% cash offer, which is always going to win. But the listing agent was like, "Hey, well, look, I got one 2 doors down. If you want it, you got to go now." It was like, "Sure." So long story short, it worked out. So purchase price $350,000. FHA loan, mortgage is like $2,700 a month, just in case anyone cares. Not particularly relevant to the story. But what I did learn about new builds, what I did not know, is that they come in different flavors. Meaning some come fully loaded, which I mean all the stuff you see behind me, which is why we're being dramatic and sitting in the kitchen, like appliances like the refrigerator, the oven, the microwave, dishwasher, washer and dryer over there. They come with it. That happens sometimes. But sometimes they don't do that. They don't have any of those things with them. And this was the case here. None of these appliances were here. Furthermore, the garage door, the door was there, but the opener, the thing that, you know, makes it go up and down when you press the button, was not there. These what I've learned is called window treatments. You and I would just call them blinds, but apparently window treatments, no window treatments, and biggest of all, no landscaping, which is pretty expensive. So this is where we kind of get into the credit card. So purchasing it, again, you're getting a home loan, no big deal. But when you look at adding all this other stuff to it, well, then your costs really go up because the closing cost was a tick under $18,000 cash to close. Again, it's FHA, so you don't have to put that much down. But again, a tick under $18,000 is closing costs for this. So that means, do you really want to have to come out of pocket? Because that's fine. The rest of this is financed. The rest of all the other stuff is not going to be financed. So do you really want to spend 18 grand on that and then have to do all of this other stuff? And that's when the credit cards and the bank promotions kind of come into play. And so specifically, if we go through it, once you get there, and I will also say, in case you're wondering, why would they build a house and not include all this other stuff? Well, it's primarily time, work, liability, and cost, right? If I'm a developer, I'm a builder, and I buy the stuff, well, it's entirely possible they're bringing it in and they scratch the flooring or whatever, and now I've got to pay for that. Or what if it just, the appliance goes bad on my watch? Now I've got to pay for that. Plus, it brings the cost up. So $350, no big deal. But if I include all this other stuff, well, I'm easily in the low 400s, as you'll see, and that removes people from my buyer pool. So they kind of just leave it up to you to do, and that's what happened here. And if you've never bought or sold a house before, appliances 99 times out of 100 stay with the house. It's in the contract. Usually they're included. People don't lug around their appliances. Maybe if you have an extra refrigerator in the garage or something, it can be done, but just in case you've never done this before and you're wondering, well, why didn't you do that? Well, that's why. So anyhow, you're probably wanting to get to the card. So once it's all done, you get it bought and everything, cool, but you got to put stuff in it. And that's when I decided, like, I don't want to spend all that money. Yes, I have the money, but I don't want to spend it all. So how can I generate some easy money to pay for these things, or help pay for these? It's not going to cover all of it. And I did what I know how to do. That's why you see last year me signing up for a bunch of different credit cards to get those intro offers, because I've got a lot of spend coming up. And of course, the bank account promotions. I was always going to go that hard on bank promotions, but the credit card specifically. So let's get into some actual numbers here. So I want to give you some examples. So last year I did about $38,000 total in earnings, specifically like $10,800 in bank promotions, and credit cards was almost $92.50, $92.46 to be specific. So if you look at the appliances, I'll put it up from Best Buy. That was about like $7,400 all in. That includes all of these: the refrigerator, oven, microwave, dishwasher, washer and dryer, all that stuff. You got to have them bring them here. There's no haul away, but it is installing them, which is always kind of a ripoff. But if you don't pay for install, they basically just leave it in your foyer and don't put it where it needs to go. So you're kind of stuck, right? So $7,400, that was bought also on a President's Day sales. We are trying to find sales, and holidays like that, you can usually get 30% off anywhere. Another example of a receipt that I have is the garage door opener. That was $988. You want the garage door to go up and down, so that's kind of an important one there. I don't know if I have the receipt for it, but the window treatments, I really like $1,400, give or take. And so again, you could be saying, well, yeah, sure, it's well and good. You could just pay for that stuff. You could, but then the big one that I have, it's just hilarious, not hilarious, but not hilarious, is landscaping. And I didn't know landscaping cost this much. As someone who doesn't care about their yard, who doesn't go outside much, I got to cut the grass after this, but it doesn't, I just don't care. I'll put it on screen, but this is the second pass of this bill. So I had reached out to this company, just a random company, and was like, hey, I need this stuff. And I had redlined a lot of this stuff. So like there's lawn installation and seeding, $5,500. Topsoil, like I didn't do the topsoil, for example. I crossed that off on the final one, but they wanted like $5,000 for topsoil. I did not do that. Drainage downspouts, I did not do that. I did do the sprinkler system, they call it irrigation, $7,000 there. You can see I asked them what a deck would cost me, $25,000. I'm sure you could shop this stuff around, but I didn't do all of this. But yeah, then the landscape bed installation. It's funny because the guy actually quoted me $25,000 up front to do the landscape, the flower bed all the way around, and he had flowers in it. I was like, dude, cross off all that. I just need the basics, and we got it down to $3,000. So again, I did the sprinkler system, but if you remove that, then it's not terrible, but it's a lot of money if you don't really care about landscaping, and I don't, as you probably know. Again, I'm going to cut the grass when I'm done making these videos for the weekend, but that's the real kicker. So that's, again, it's quite a bit of money. And so applying, if you go through like, well, what do I know how to do? Well, I know how to get credit cards and reduce the cost of this. So if you want to look at it again, if you want to just do the 9,200 for credit cards, and then the bank accounts at 2024 was 10,000. So if you want to call it $20,000. It's actually just $20,000. Well, you can see that covered most of these costs. And you could look at it any way you want to. You could say, well, you had to do $18,000 down. Well, then that money covered the entire down payment. That's probably a more catchy title than whatever I put this at. But again, that was my thought of like, how can I get these costs down? What do I know how to do? Well, I'm not good at much, but I'm decent at finding credit card offers and going through them. Not that it's the hardest thing in the world, but that's where you get into the like, yeah, the obvious ones like the business platinum card was a big one. But then you get into like the Citizens Everyday Points, the Amex Blue Business Plus, the Venmo card, Huntington Cashback, Rocket Mortgage. It literally became anything I could get my hands on and get approved to get these costs down. And it's not to say that I wouldn't have never have applied for these cards, because you know me, and eventually at some point I would have applied for all these because I have no shame and I'm a degenerate. But it became an expedited velocity because this was the project for last year to get all this stuff in place. And it did take me a little bit of time for sure. I just want to give the impression that we just did it overnight. I did it over a few months time for sure. I don't think I finished the final landscaping thing until just about the end of the summer. And just to give you some more color, if you find it interesting, a lot of times you have, what again, I've been in mortgage for a long time, but being in mortgage is different than being in real estate, right? And so you do at closing, you get a soil erosion agreement, which basically says you have to put something in place to hold the soil, which they mean grass, but no one's ever going to tell you what to do. So, but it means put grass in there. So you do have a timeline where you have to get something in place. And I guess I got lucky here because everyone has HOAs, but there wasn't really any requirements for landscaping. Other places there could be, and my neighbors have pretty sick landscaping and all that. So I think we get the point here, though, is that if you look at all these bills and you can see just that, $20,000 in credit cards and bank accounts, definitely took care of most of these additional expenses. Now, for me, again, I also did on 2024 $19,000 in referrals. So if I bring that in there, then we're golden, right? Like we're good. We didn't have to come that much out of pocket. Now I understand not everyone can do that, but that the round trip that took care of a lot of it. And so I would say this extends to travel as well. I think it's easier to show off travel because I think it's more fun, and those make for more fun videos than sitting in my kitchen. It doesn't come off as as flexy or braggy, but again, we're just trying to be as direct as possible about it. But if travel is one of those things, it's somewhat frivolous spend. There's value in going places, but it's still frivolous spend. But if you want to go anywhere and I can't really put it in the budget, but I can with Hilton Aspire and Hyatt and Marriott offers and Southwest offers, then fantastic. Or you want to go places in more style or better, then it also works. The point is, for some reason, cash back tends to get overlooked, in my opinion, even though we all need cash back. Travel is nice, and I don't knock travel, and I still go places, but we all have an immediate use for cash. I'm just trying to show you an immediate use for it. That again, maybe because if you don't have those credit cards, those bank accounts, there's a very real possibility that you're like, hey, as a single person buying a house, you're like, I don't have the money to do all this stuff. Or it's like, how long do you want to live without it? I mean, no one's going to care if you don't have a refrigerator, but it's still like, you should have one. You kind of need that stuff, right? And it makes it possible, especially if you're just one person, so it would be, again, I think it's just easier to show off travel than it is to, hey, look at my watch roll with, my Sea Dweller, my Sky Dweller, my GMT that I said I wasn't going to buy that I may have bought. That's a weirder video to make, but we all have a use for cash. And so last thing I'll say here is I think we get the point. Is if you go through these offers in 2024, you see one for Action Network for $5, and you see some for Greenlight for $30 and $100 and $50 and $5 for these weird ones. And I get it. I get it when I make the videos. Part of it is I'm playing a character who's a degenerate who's going to get these offers. The other part of it, there's three parts. Another part of it is not everyone can afford to do the large offers, because there's some really large ones on here. Like I do Huntington Business every a year for $1,000, but not everyone can swing that one. And then the third part of it is, again, I will stand by it that this money is material and it does matter. In the moment it's happening, $5, $50 may not feel material, but at the end of it, this is something that you could reasonably do if you went that hard. Now, I don't expect everyone to go that hard or care this much, but you can't tell me it doesn't matter or it's not impactful. Again, whether you want to go on a trip, whether you want to furnish your house, upgrade your house, whether you want to buy a fancy watch, whatever it is, whether you want to use it to get out of debt, this game is very impactful. And we should be taking advantage now because we're seeing referral programs start to die off. I just got an email a few days ago that Security Plus is ending their referral program. We've seen a lot of these go away. We've seen churning rules get harder. So I think this game will be around for quite some time. I don't think it'll ever officially go away, but it is getting a little bit harder. The world is getting smaller, as they say in Pirates of the Caribbean. So again, take it for what you want, but I did want to show people a real world use case of how this actually works, how I actually used 2024's money, and how I actually sat down and thought about fitting that into my finances. Why go through the velocity of the credit cards? Again, I would have signed up for all those at some point anyways. I probably just wouldn't have gone that fast. I was just starting to get denied by the other ones like the Wells Fargos and the Citi, so I had to keep going anywhere to get those costs down. So it's probably a little bit longer of a story time than most, but every so often, again, those comments do come up, and I totally understand why people don't want to do it, why they're not interested in it. But the ones that say it's not worth it, I mean, $50 an hour is $100,000 a year salary, and it doesn't take you an hour to do any of these bonuses. I do 50, 60 of them a year. I promise you, none of them take an hour to do. You can stack them while doing other things. So if you are interested, again, check out Run on the Bank. It'll be linked down below. It's our second channel where we do 2 videos a week on bank promotions. Check out profitablecontent.com where we post all the bonuses we find, plus the news stories and credit card offers. And then lastly, if you're like, hey, how do I get to 38 or 19 grand in referrals? Well, I probably can't get you to 19, but we do have channel memberships, which is a Discord server shared between this channel and the second channel. You just join on whichever channel is your favorite. It's like $5 a month. You can cancel anytime. And the gist of it is we're assembling some of the best bonus hunters into game to find offers, refer one another, and then when appropriate, we'll use member links, referral links in videos and blog posts. It's a lot easier if you're into bank promotions and credit cards. A lot of us have the same credit card, so we had the Sapphire Preferred offer. I'll still put it on the website. I'll still do a video, for example, but so many people have that offer already. It's a little bit tougher, but if you want to get into it, if you want to try to just be in a community where you can learn some stuff from, potentially get into it. The gist of it is, again, that your membership will be paid for from a referral or two, then everything else is extra. You get to keep all of that. So we're about 100 members strong. We'd love to see you over there as well. And of course, also, I love to see the stories that people come up with from, their hunting exploits. It doesn't have to be this. If this isn't your thing. I was talking to a good friend in the channel Discord who just went on like this overseas vacation because he was able to set aside his hunting versus his referrals and some other things and make it happen. Like, that's stuff that this game does that not every other game on the internet does. So we'd love to see you over there. So again, I'll turn it over to you. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to see what you think of it. What have you done with your earnings? What are you saving up for? What's the game done for you? I'd love to see it. But anyways, guys, if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. So we're posting content just like this every single week. Of course, we're right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Of course, every single day over on profitablecontent.com. The channel's blog, as we've already said. So anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.